This is going to be a minute. Let's learn about the ROM. I call them ROM. He calls them something different. Revolvers. Yeah. We in the industry call that a feature. Yep. I like this guy. I just found his channel recently. Yeah. Okay. How you doing, Sniper? How's Black Ops 6 going? I heard that. Yeah, I heard that released today. Yeah. Yeah, I literally bought Cold War uh, for the story and for zombies. Hell yeah. Mm-hmm. What's up? What's up?
I just need help moving that mattress into the girls' room. I need to get up their space because of the way the air is blowing. It's causing that big chill. It's the minute I sat, or within a few minutes of me sitting down, I was shaking again like I wasn't
That
aware.
that air mattress?
So no, it was with the air. I had to move things around so that the air wasn't.
Oh, right on you.
I had to move it, so I have to take that mattress.
Yeah, I'll come help you.
I have everything done. I just need to move that to their.
I got you.
I want to put it on my bed, so I can have a double stack again.
Yeah,
That's a really nice mattress to be, you know. I don't know. I just have issues with that. Shit, why not? I mean, I can bring the little mini comforter out too. Just put it how you want it, just if it's not on the couch, up against the couch.
Well, the nice thing is it's not a memory foam, so if you want to, you can store it like this and it's in there. You don't really want to take much of it out.
I mean, whichever. You want to just leave it out for tonight? Yeah, we plan on watching a movie later, don't we?
I'm sure the girls will love sitting on it.
I was hoping you were gonna maybe slide me in, because I wouldn't even. Stuff happens. Here, let me get that.
Comforter.
Oh, look what I found! I couldn't figure out. Ever since I moved, I've been having problems sleeping. Give me my bunny. Give me my bunny.
My battle bunny?
Just make sure I got that old bunny back, okay? Yeah. Just make me want to put the comforter that Luke tries to go with the head.
Okay, well, I'm gonna jump back on. Hey, um, when I stop streaming, remind me. I'm just gonna throw that on the back of the scram all the way to the field and keep going.
You know,
That way it's not sitting here rotting till Wednesday.
I felt bad because I'm sitting here watching it defrost and I'm like, oh, that fucking shit's hard because it was.
It's like gray.
I mean, even as it's defrosting, this looks really sick.
Yeah, I'll just open the package. I'll just show where the tabs are. Just give them a reminder. This is what you become.
Oh, I was saying about Bunny. Because I was like, I know, because I was putting my stuffed animals on my bed, right?
Uh-huh.
And I was like, something feels like it's missing, but it's just probably me. Bunny
Nope. Missing your bunny.
underneath that mattress this whole time.
Bunny.
It's the texture of Bunny. I snuggle with Bunny and Lammy. You want Buddy?
Nah, you can have Bunny.
No, he can sit with you tonight and watch Tarkov. He needs to learn how to play Tarkov.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put him right here on top of the camera.
I gotta
Bella.
try to remind me to
Spoken.
remember I gotta get Bunny. Bunny.
That's perfect.
Bunny.
And look, if you lean in, the camera will.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, what the frick? It was like tracking me.
Yeah.
What? This is like witchcraft here. This is why you are the technology wizard.
Yeah.
Or no, technology warlock.
There we go.
We just like made you like, okay, if we were playing World of Warcraft, we just like accelerated you all the way to the top.
There we go. Guess we're going to factory. Dude, I had a Honda CRV that worked in the almost exact same way. The first gen, I know for sure have it. But it's called the real time 4-wheel drive, and it's the same thing. Uh, you don't get like all the heavy components of 4-wheel drive because there's no like big locking transfer case or any of that. Instead, you have like a little baby drive shaft, and that little baby drive shaft has just enough to drive a little bit of power to a rear diff, but it only activates when you start to lose grip on the front tires because it's front wheel drive. So, yeah, same concept. Like you basically have 4-wheel drive on all the time. So if you're driving somewhere, you don't got to like stop, put a neutral, throw a 4-wheel drive in or anything, or lock any hubs. You just keep driving, and the rear wheels just kick in. It's super dope. Hell yeah. That was dumb. Ugh. Well,
at the end of the day, what went wrong? Well, according to some more experienced journalists, on hardpack, the all-wheel drive motorcycle was simply inferior. The system added 7 kilos to the bike while robbing part of its power. And most of that weight stood in the front hub, so this made the steering feel numb and heavy. To be. Look, all of the issues mentioned above could be something that would kill a product, and it's stuff that could be the launch of the WR450F 2-track. First, while the system on the outside seemed fairly simple, on the inside it was far from that. It required the use of high-precision manufacturing techniques for some of its components, and that made its cost skyrocket. Allegedly, the asking price was €12,000 with an extra 500 for a homologation kit. Price reports do tend to vary, but one thing they all had in common: this was extremely expensive. Some even reporting it costing twice the amount a standard bike would cost. And this was Yamaha's issue. When they released the 2-track version, because of their collaboration with Öhlins, Yamaha also gave these bikes the full Öhlins treatment in the suspension and steering damper department. And while this is great for riding, it brought the cost of an already expensive system to another level. And to add insult to injury, Yamaha had a hesitation problem. They knew their technology was good, but they also knew it was different and expensive. So, to mitigate their risks, they only produced a limited initial run of bikes. But because it was so limited, they could not profit from economies of scale, which made an expensive product even more costly. The less you build, the more expensive they get. And this was the nail in the coffin for the WR450F 2-track. In reality, at that price point, people didn't really care, and Yamaha barely got rid of all the units. It's easy to look back and see why this was a problem, but you have to understand, this dream started materializing in the 90s. Think about it, cars were starting to offer all-wheel drive models. Just a decade before, Audi started dominating rallies with all-wheel drive systems. In an all-wheel drive craze of the 90s, this being the future for bikes was understandable. Before Yamaha, these types of vehicles were either weird one-off prototypes built in garages or a rock-on, which we can both agree isn't quite the same thing. But the Yamaha system was truly innovative. They even had an R1 fitted with the system. And Öhlins was in talks with 4 other manufacturers, both Japanese and European, for fitting their bikes with the 2-track setup. I get it. The hype was there, and it had good reason to be. I think the idea of all-wheel drive motorcycles sounds cool in principle, until you really think about it. The 2-track system had no way to be turned off, so you had to live with its quirks 24/7. And that got me thinking, after seeing a Reddit post from an owner of a Cristini all-wheel drive bike, different system but the principle still applies.
In reality, most of the time you're riding a bike, you don't need power to the front. The rear is more than enough.
So, at that point, you might as well have a system to disengage all-wheel drive so that it doesn't bring in the quirky character with it. But what that means is that, for most of the time, you're carrying the weight of the system for no real added benefit.
And at that point, why bother carrying it at all? When you factor in the weight and cost, I don't think it was ever worth it. I mean, sure, in deep sand or mud, it would help.
But think of your rides. How much of the time you spend riding is in those situations? And be realistic. And then, I think you'll understand why the 2-track was destined to fail. And so, in 2007, Öhlins and Yamaha abandoned the project. After that point, you could argue Christini picked up where the Japanese left off, but they went with a mechanical system. And yet, they never gained mass appeal, despite them trying to build all-wheel drive bicycles, motorcycles, kits, everything. Sure, their system could be fully disconnected, but that was not enough. I think their savior was the military awarding them a contract, since otherwise, I'm not sure how well Christini would still be doing, but that's a story for another video.
In the end, I really believe that the Yamaha 2-track system was the only one that could bring all-wheel drive to the mainstream. It had a lot going for it.
But it was also the reason why we don't see these types of machines these days. In a way, the 2-track also killed this market.
If the prices were lower and adoption was higher, I think our current world would have looked different.
Yet, if you set aside the ifs, buts and maybes, all we're left with is a cool story and an even cooler experiment. One that unfortunately was destined to fail from its very beginning. This is a story about a battle between two companies, a duel between Austrians and Germans.
A story of two completely different approaches, yet both aiming for the same end goal.
But really, it's about a banana measuring contest, a battle that both needed to win. Yet a battle that everybody ended up losing. Back in the early 2000s, BMW really had something to prove.
Their off-road image was rapidly deteriorating. I mean, their flagship off-roader, the GS, won magazine awards.
For the best street bike of the year. The problem wasn't the sales figures, it was their reputation. From a legendary Dakar winning company, they were starting to settle down, to become soft.
And this was a problem because just across the border, their rivals, KTM, were really starting to make a name for themselves in the off-road sector.
Oof. Making me heavy. I killed Neo. I killed the chosen one. Oh no. Yeah. They got out of the fence?
Yeah, they're on the other side.
All right. All right, gotta go get the dogs. Yeah, dogs got out, so I throw on boots. Yeah, they like to go exploring. So, I had to throw on jeans because I was wearing pajama bottoms because I was comfy and done for the day. And also my boots because I don't know if y'all can see, but my fucking legs are covered in sticker burrs. So now I'm going to be picking those off. And throwing them away. Because otherwise, I'm going to sit over here, you know, barefoot, and then roll my foot right into one of these mother truckers.
Sexy.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm gonna... Ugh. Mm-hmm.
This is a story about a battle between two companies, a duel between Austrians and Germans.
A story of two completely different approaches, yet both aiming for the same end goal.
But really, it's about a banana measuring contest, a battle that both needed to win. Yet a battle that everybody ended up losing. Back in the early 2000s, BMW really had something to prove.
Their off-road image was rapidly deteriorating. I mean, their flagship off-roader, the GS, won magazine awards.
For the best street bike of the year. The problem wasn't the sales figures, it was their reputation. From a legendary Dakar winning company, they were starting to settle down, to become soft.
And this was a problem because just across the border, their rivals, KTM, were really starting to make a name for themselves in the off-road sector.
Call it an inferiority complex,
What's
call
that?
it competitiveness, call it whatever you like.
Oh yeah.
But this is what started the development of BMW's
Funny thing, it wasn't from
craziest off-road
when I had
project
to get on the
to
bike
date.
to go around the side. It's
To
from
put it
the
into
front yard.
perspective,
The front yard
this
is
was a
bad.
time when BMW came out with a Hayabusa competitor.
In the form of
And
their
they're like
Keto
all
100S.
dry.
They
They're
were
right at that
rumored
point
to
where
launch a
they're all
MotoGP
super dry.
program too.
So they all just broke
It
right
was a
off onto
time
my
when the
pants.
Bavarians were not afraid to take on a challenge.
And so, the development of their first HP model started. HP stood for high performance, and in reality, it was a way for BMW to showcase what their Boxer engine could do without any other
More
limitations.
bubbles.
Show the world the real potential of their low
just
center
love
of
making the
gravity
bubbles.
platform.
But in order to do that, they had to completely change how they do things. And in order for that to happen, they took a look back to the 80s, when BMW's arguably most important motorcycle came out, the R80 GS. When it launched, it shocked the world by winning 4 Dakar rallies. It was a bike that allowed BMW to reinvent itself.
And so, in order to do that again, they had to resort to doing things in the most un-German way, in the same way that brought them glory just 20 years before.
You see, the
Okay.
entire R80 GS platform existed because of a
Alright,
skunkworks
that's
team that
the
developed
right leg
inside
done.
BMW. They took risks, didn't follow the corporate structure, and created something iconic. And actually, it was roughly around that time when the first idea of an HP motorcycle started to float around.
For 20 years, BMW developed multiple crazy prototypes, but they were always considered too compromised for the Bavarian standards.
So all of them were scrapped, dumped deep in the back of a BMW warehouse. But in 2002, that cycle broke, and another skunkworks team developed inside of BMW. This was a small team of enthusiasts, passionate off-road riders. From the designer, engineers, everyone working on the HP2 project had to have a sincere interest in off-road racing to dedicate their private lives to motorsport. This team's motto became, only an enthusiastic professional can offer another enthusiastic professional what he really wants.
They were completely disconnected from the Germans' regular engineering processes. And actually, this freedom brought within a bunch of problems because at times, as a huge corporation, BMW didn't really know how to manage such a project, how to manage all this freedom.
And yet, they found a way. And 3 years after the original idea for the HP2 came out, BMW launched their new creation, the HP2 Enduro. What started as the ultimate incarnation of a GS ended up only sharing the engine and driveline with its adventure counterpart. Nothing was normal or borrowed. It was the most extreme version of a dirt bike that ever existed. And for BMW, it was their hope to regain their off-road accolades.
But without knowing, BMW was just about to embark in one of the most fascinating battles in motorcycling history. Because somewhere inside Austria, in a little city called Mattighofen, KTM was planning their comeback.
The timing is a bit curious because it's almost like the Austrians found out about the HP2 project, but that's all speculation if you ask me.
What isn't speculation is the approaches that these two companies took. And they could not have been any more different.
For KTM, they decided to basically take their off-road proven 950 Adventure platform, chop it up, alter it slightly and put it to market. They took Giovanni Sala, famous enduro and rally racer, and took his input to try and create the best big bore dirt machine to ever exist. I mean, if Meoni managed to create the original 950 Adventure, this was Giovanni's time. Take the chassis for example. KTM used a tubular steel frame, really similar to the one used by their ADV model, and slightly altered it to give it a different rake.
But really, it was mostly a 950 Adventure chassis. Meanwhile, BMW decided to reinvent itself.
They completely scrapped their GS frame and decided to learn from their past success in rally racing. So they went to HPN, the legendary company behind BMW's Dakar winning bikes from the 80s, and co-developed a brand new chassis just for this one project. And so HPN came out with a tubular steel frame, heavily inspired, if not copied, from their ex-Dakar prototype, the R900R.
It was the literal opposite of what the GS base was, but this allowed them to have a much stiffer construction while removing a lot of the weight from the original adventure bike.
And then it was the engine. The point for the Bavarians was to show how good their boxer idea could be. But they didn't just take the GS engine. No, that would have been too easy. They tuned the original power plant to deliver 105 horsepower and 85 foot-pounds of torque, almost 15 more than a regular GS.
They hacked the internals in order to get rid of the balancer shaft. Sure, that did make it vibrate, but it removed weight and increased performance, which was the ultimate goal of the HP2.
On the other side of the fence, in Austria, KTM went backwards? Yeah, at that time, KTM had already come out with their modern fuel-injected 990 Adventure. But for some reason, even though this bike existed already, for the Super Enduro they decided to use the older, carbureted power plant from the 950 Adventure. I mean, it still developed 98 horsepower, which, while 7 less than the HP2,
it's still more than respectable. Thing is, KTM were aware that their early fuel injection system had some problems, classic early FI snatchiness and power delivery gremlins.
And since the Super Enduro was meant to be the ultimate off-road machine, power delivery was crucial.
Yeah.
I have to say, love them or hate them, you have to appreciate how self-aware KTM was back then.
To be able to go back to something older when you realize that the newer version of the engine just wasn't as good.
Then you have suspension, which further shows how different these two companies tackled the challenge. For KTM it was business as usual, just put some standard, fully adjustable WP units front and rear and call it a day.
But for BMW, yet again they scrapped everything from the GS and started with a blank slate.
First order of things, the front telelever setup had to go in favor of some classic, fully adjustable WP units. Which is funny because at that time, KTM already had deep involvement with WP. Crucially, what this allowed was for the German engineers to create a simpler, yet sturdier and lighter front end. And then for the rear, they went even further.
They went to Continental Automotive Systems and started designing a rear shock unlike any other,
This unit used no spring or oil, it simply used air and some valves, both for the compression and rebound. This allowed them to shed quite a bit of weight over a conventional setup, while also, at least in theory, behaving better at higher temperatures. This also allows the rider to easily adjust the rear suspension for an onboard manual air pump.
Now, in theory all this sounds great, innovative. How well the system actually worked is a bit debatable.
I mean, they also used this system on the later G650X, and that didn't get outstanding reviews. Also, on the factory HP2 bikes, they actually ditched the system for another conventional shock and spring unit. Apparently, while the air shock absorbed smaller bumps incredibly well, it just wasn't up to the task of hard racing.
But anyway, you can't deny how much future thinking had to go into this setup. And they didn't stop here, because BMW was also looking to create a machine that looked like nothing else.
So they used Mr. Edgar Heinrich's services, the same designer behind the S1000RR or the original R1200 GS. And love it or hate it, the HP2 actually won a design award at the 2005 Mondial de Deux Roues ceremony, while competing against the then new Yamaha R6 or Triumph Daytona 675.
In the orange camp, it seems like the design process was a bit more straightforward. Well, I can't know how it happened. I would assume someone just came in the design room, slapped a picture of one of their EXC Enduro models on a desk, and told the team to copy that.
I mean, it does look close to KTM's Enduro models of that time. As you can see, the approaches these two manufacturers took couldn't be any more different. And it makes sense, simply because of the base that each had to start with. KTM had a more robust, off-road ready baseline, while BMW didn't. And so, in a way, these two radical approaches were needed. And it would be safe to expect that these would generate two completely different machines.
Surprisingly, the HP2 and the 950 Super Enduro came out with more in common than anyone could ever predict.
Take the weight. The BMW came in at just 175 kilos in dry form, while the 950 came in at 185 kilos. Fully fueled and ready to go, the Beamer weighed in around 196.5 kilos, while the KTM came in at 190?
Okay, that's a bit of a lie. KTM said that the Super Enduro would weigh just that in a ready-to-race state, which if you look at the numbers means that 1 liter of fuel should be more than enough for a race. Yeah, good old marketing.
But speaking of fuel, one common aspect they shared was their abysmal fuel capacities and ranges, both featuring a pathetic 13-liter fuel tank.
Some publications say the 950 actually had 14.5, yet most say 13. Look, I don't know, and it doesn't really matter, because in a nutshell, both these bikes had the range of a trials bike.
And then the ergonomics. With how different the frames and suspension setups were, both bikes had a seat height of 920 millimeters. Just 7 horsepower separated the two power plants. They both decided to ditch any unnecessary systems like ABS, traction control, ride-by-wire, heated grips. Even for BMW, the biggest comfort features were...
Look at this thing. To level the bike. Simple and easy solution.
a spirit level based ride checker and a detachable license plate holder.
If you were to simply look at the spec sheets, you would never
Just putting a dang spirit level on there, good enough. All right, PMCs.
Капец тебе, служивый!
Got a little cocky, overexposed myself. APSX. Ugh. Gross.
Never realized how different the paths these machines had to take in order to become reality.
But at the end of the day, only one could be crowned the winner. And so, in 2006, KTM decided to launch their response to the HP2 on their home territory, at the Erzberg Rodeo.
It's for sure the fastest bike in the whole race. Like your first time on a roller coaster, and then you realize there's more.
Hello, my name is David Knight.
Ciao, I'm Giovanni Sala. I come from Italy.
My name is Simo Kersi. I'm coming from Finland.
For the Austrians, it was crucial to win on their home soil, to show the world that they were still the benchmark in the high-performance off-road segment. And according to them, to Red Bull and to some publications, they managed to win the Erzberg Rodeo.
The speed is incredible.
But the thing is, in their own video, BMW also claimed to win the Erzberg Rodeo.
And in the official results archive, BMW is listed as the winner.
How exactly could both of them win? Or did they lie? Well, the truth is a bit more complicated, and there is a reason why both companies were a bit vague about it. But first, you have to quickly understand how the Erzberg Rodeo race was structured back then. Erzberg is a bit like a festival of races. For this festival, you actually had 2 tracks that hosted a total of 3 races. First, you have what we'll call the prologue track, which is a fast, classic enduro style race course. Then you have the hare scramble track, which is the one with all the huge boulders and extreme obstacles that only a handful of people finish every year. Now, this festival hosted 3 races. The 2-cylinder premier race on Thursday, the prologue race on Friday, and the main hare scramble race. Where BMW and KTM were really battling was in the first 2 races, because both of these took place on the prologue track, which was the fast one, the tracks that suited their monster machines best. Here is where the confusion gets cleared up. On Thursday, in the premier 2-cylinder race, David Knight won by 2 seconds on the KTM ahead of the BMW of Simo Kersi with a time of 8 minutes and 52 seconds. Now, on Friday, in the prologue race, which, as I remind you, happens on the same track, Simo Kersi on the BMW managed to get the win ahead of Cyril Depre on the KTM with a time of 8 minutes and 56 seconds. So, yes, in reality, both KTM and BMW won. Just 2 different races that were part of the same festival. Now, if you were to split hairs, you could say that ultimately the 950 Super Enduro got the ultimate win, since out of all runs on the prologue track from both races, it posted the fastest time while being tamed by David Knight. And tamed is a good way to put it, because the Brit jumped on a stock borrowed 950 with no previous practice and posted that time. Now, the Madman did end up winning the main hare scramble race too, but on a much lighter KTM 300 2-strokes. Also, the 2 giants had entered the main hare scramble race too, so we could compare their results there, and again I would say KTM won, because Giovanni Sala managed to take his Super Enduro all the way to checkpoint 9, while Simo Kersi on the HP2 only managed checkpoint 3 in the same allotted time. Look, the hare scramble is a completely different type of race, with different riders having different strengths. But ultimately, I would argue that in 2006, KTM managed to win the battle. Yet the war was not over. If you want to see more of the old school Erzberg races, check out the movie linked in the description below. BMW later went on to race multiple championships, from cross-country to Bajas.
After 23 laps, Simo Kersi crossed the finishing line 1 lap ahead of Sala by a hair's breadth.
The Bavarians managed to win the German cross-country stage in Goldbach. 2005, they also scored third place finishes in their classes at the Tecate Baja 1000. In 06, Simo Kirsi got 7th overall in the GCC series, on board the HP2. The two companies kept trading blows, one after the other, to show who was the king of off-roading.
When looking back, you could argue that KTM won the war. But at the same time, you could just as well create an argument that BMW won. And they both would be equally as valid. And yet, if you ask me, I would say that in reality, none of them won. What had really happened was
That guy over there.
I've ever seen that one before. Interesting. Oh, yeah, it's the one that's open. Donde? Donde está? God damn it. I forgot to take that out.
Вон он, сука! Я кто обватил? Чужие прямо!
Would just love for you guys to, you know, fight me and, you know. Did I kill you? I did. Oh, barely made that jump. Okay, well, I got a quest turned.
They both
done.
lost.
You see, while racing prowess can leave its mark on history books, you have to remember that these two are motorcycling companies. Their end goal is to sell bikes, and both the HP2 and the 950 Super Enduro were true commercial disasters. For the Germans, while technically they said the HP2 would be limited edition, they also said they'd build as many as the market demanded, and after the first lot, they had to stop.
In total, 2,910 HP2 Enduros were ever built. And on the Austrian side, while we don't know exact numbers, it's estimated that roughly 3,000 were ever built.
Think about it, BMW had such a hard time selling the HP2 that they started offering supermoto wheels as part of the purchase package. They even threw in off-road trainings for free, anything they could just to get rid of the damn things. In reality, nobody was buying any of these two monsters.
Yeah.
Nobody really cared.
And one of the main reasons was a tragic pricing paradox. At launch, the HP2 demanded a sky-high $20,000, way more money even than a GS at that time.
For reference, in today's money, that's way over 30k for a glorified dirt bike. The joke became that HP didn't stand for high performance, but for high price. And sure, the orange pumpkin costed less, but it was still way too much. And so nobody bought them.
The thing is, here is where this paradox comes into play. Because nobody bought them, there are not many out there. So these days, these two bikes still demand incredible premiums even on the second-hand market.
In Europe, a Super Enduro starts between 7 and 9k, while the HP2 starts around 17k. They were expensive when new, nobody wanted them, which in the end made everyone want them later, which made them expensive again. Oh, the irony.
Look, we can sit here and blame the pricing all day long, but it wasn't the only factor in play for the total failure of these two competitors.
In reality, back in 2005, their target market simply didn't exist. These two bikes perfectly filled a niche that nobody was interested in.
Back then, doing extreme stuff on big bikes wasn't nearly as popular as it is today.
In their review, Motorcycle News said that it's hard objectively to see the point of the BMW HP2. I mean, as a hardcore racer, it still had a big inherent boxer limitation. And that is, you couldn't stick your foot out in a corner because, well, there were two giant lumps called cylinders in the way. And then you couldn't really do any adventure on them because you'd run out of fuel at the end of your driveway.
But if more extreme tracks were your thing, these were still 200 kilo sky-high monsters. Far from ideal for the regular dirt enthusiast.
And so, just 3 years later, in 2008, even before the financial crisis came around, both the HP2 and 950 Super Enduro were killed. At the end of the day, both BMW and KTM managed to create two completely useless bikes, machines that proved to be utter commercial disasters.
And come on, the idea of a hardcore 100 horsepower 200 kilo dirt bike is kinda stupid on the face of it. And yet, I would argue that from this war, a winner did end up emerging. And that was us, the people.
You can bash the 950 and HP2 all you want, and rightfully so. They are flawed, uncompromised, and that's exactly what makes them brilliant. They're mad science projects, and that makes them extremely cool. These bikes were a statement of what motorcycling should feel like. They were a cucumber measuring contest between two companies, without any regard of cost, accounting, nothing.
That's why they're so brilliant. And because of this, tight enthusiast communities formed around these two bikes.
In the case of the Super Enduro, people started converting the damn things into adventure bikes, snow bikes, rally bikes, sidecars, ice racers, flat trackers, hill climbers, even two-wheel drive conversions. And on the BMW side, the HP2 became a legend within the Bavarian off-road circles, admired and adored by many.
That's why, in my opinion, we won simply because these two bikes were allowed to exist. Because it's this type of war that will stay in the two-wheeled history books.
In 100 years from now, nobody will care that the Tenere outsold the Touareg or which special edition GS sold best. But what will be remembered is a battle between BMW and KTM. A battle to take the off-road crown.
A time where engineers were let loose, when companies took real risks to try and create something out of this world. It's just a better story. And let's be fair, Who doesn't enjoy a good story after all?
When pushing the limits, we often realize that we might have gone too far.
And this
Oh no.
This is the Lockpicking Lawyer, and today we're going to do something a little bit different.
Cool.
I'm going to show you a few interesting locks from my collection, and you've probably never heard of the style because it didn't catch on anywhere. I call them rack locks, a term I frankly don't remember if I saw somewhere or just made up. And that's because both the key and the bolts are made out of interlocking racks. To use them, you insert the key, and the interaction between those two racks pushes the bolts aside. These were mainly produced in old Eastern Bloc countries, where I'd imagine they appealed to the Soviet mentality of producing simple, rugged products that required nothing in the way of precision. And it doesn't get much more simple. Literally, the only moving parts in these are the bolts. If we take a close look at the bolts, we can see how they interact with the key. And as you watch them glide over each other, it becomes apparent that the locks are keyed differently by alternating the spacing and width of the teeth on the racks. Of course, these were made into both door locks and padlocks. The only one of these locks I've ever seen not from an Eastern Bloc country is this Luken lock from Israel, made in roughly 1985, and I don't think this company is still in business. An interesting variation on the rack lock is this one made in Ukraine. It has an odd-looking key that you insert all the way through the door, then turn 90 degrees and pull outward, essentially inserting the key from the inside of the door. Really interesting little variation, and it would be difficult to pick were you not able just to insert a bent wire, perhaps with a string on it, to capture this bolt and pull it aside. So, how would you open one of these regular rack locks without a key?
No shit.
I've heard people say they can't be picked, but that of course is patently incorrect. They're actually quite easy. If I ran into these on a regular basis, I'd probably make a custom tool, but for now, what I use is this Covert Instruments padlock bypass tool. And you don't need to tension the lock, at least not with a tool. All you would need to do is either push or pull the door opened or closed, which would hold the bolt in place as you slowly pushed it aside. And with the padlocks, it's similar. All you have to do is pull on the shackle. There are other ways of opening these. It wouldn't be too hard to impression a key with a metal blank. You'd need a needle file, and it would probably take a decent amount of time, probably several minutes. I have heard rumors that these can be opened by shoving a carrot into them forcefully, and essentially the carrot would be cut by the rack on the lock into
I just need someone else to come in here. Oh, that's cool. Two more. swear I heard someone over here. Is that it? Just you? Oh, no shit. I didn't know that actually had a new door there. You can tell I have not played the new factory map much.
To a key. I don't know if it works. I've never tried it, but it at least seems plausible. So, I hope you enjoyed this introduction to rack locks. In the next video, we're going to pick one of them open, probably this Lucan lock, because it is the highest security rack lock I've ever heard of, with 4 bolts inside. But that's all I have for you today. If you do have any questions or comments about this, please put them below.
That's cool. I always wondered why some of the keys in Tarkov look funky. It's because they're rack locks. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, I smell radiator fluid.
Yeah, you smell that now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might as well just go and hit a tree too, right?
No!
My temperature gauge is going up. Yeah, I smell radiator fluid. I think I busted my radiator. Go ahead and turn her off.
Golly. I just want to go home and eat supper.
Well, yeah. I smoke it.
You got oil.
It's an oil?
Yeah, I believe that's what that is.
Gonna be worth towing nowhere.
What do you think I just did, Dad? You know, instead of a check engine light, they should just have that sound in your car go,
Because we need bolts.
But it's fun.
That's not gonna buff out.
What's up, everybody? My name is Scott. His name is Scott, and we're just screwing around with a minivan.
Yeah, we are.
Today, we are going to see how long you can drive without lug nuts.
Yeah, because you never know when you go to a tire store that they may leave off a lug nut or all of them.
Well, it's actually really funny you say that, because what did we discover
It is funny.
just a second ago?
So he pulls in and he says, I'm hearing this noise come from the rear of the van.
The
And
guy
I'm like,
told me that there was a wheel bearing out.
Yeah. And so I go back there to check it.
Not a wheel
And
bearing. Come take a look.
There was only one lug nut that was tight on the whole wheel. The rest of them were loose. You could loosen them with your...
2 lug nuts. 2 lug nuts on this wheel. No, there was 3. 3 lug nuts. I stole one from another wheel, and they were loose. The whole wheel was about to come off on the way over here.
You're trying to film a video before we could ever get here.
take my advice. If you're gonna buy a minivan in Kentucky for under $1,000,
Kick the wheels.
kick the wheels and check for lug nuts. This van's already made some appearances on Kentucky Ballistics.
As you can tell.
It's got a few bullet holes in it. And that's the least of its worries because.
So which wheel are you going to take off first?
I think we should check out the front wheel.
Now, how far? Or do you got like a distance you're wanting to try to make it? Like
Yeah,
a
so
certain thing?
I want to start over there.
Yeah.
And see what happens when we go straight.
Just straight.
So just from there to there.
Okay.
And then if we make it over there, I'll start turning, and we'll see if that wheel comes off. I think we got a good shot going straight.
Yeah.
But I think when I turn, like say if I take the lug nuts off this one,
right.
If I turn right, I think the wheel's gonna want to come off. So we're gonna start with one wheel, and then I'm probably just gonna take all the lug nuts off the van and see how far we make it. I wanted to do this for a long time.
Yeah,
It's the perfect opportunity. We've got a minivan that we don't care about. And can you imagine having me as a son growing up? This is his nightmare. So yeah, let's get started. Let's just, we're gonna drive the minivan over there and take the lug nuts off over there.
All right.
And then we'll just go this way.
All right.
See what happens. Okie dokie. Go ahead and take these off real quick. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know how far we're going to make it. That wheel about came off as soon as I took them all off. That's right. Okay, then. Well, let's do this thing.
Okay. It'd be fun if we only make it to like right
I
there.
thought that was maybe a short video, but at least we'll know.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
So how fast do you think I should go?
I don't know.
Do you think I should just like try and take it slow or just drive? I'm just
drive.
Oh. Oh, well, there goes the wheel.
Well, that didn't.
We made it about,
What?
I don't know, 20 feet?
Yeah.
What happens when I floor it now? Oh, dude, we jacked up the side of this van.
Did we?
Yeah, we sure did.
We made it about 20 feet, 30 feet.
Yeah. Buckled the quarter panel.
Yeah. So yeah, if you don't have lug nuts, you don't make it very far.
Nope.
I don't know how I feel about taking them all off now. Because we only made it like 20 feet. But I am curious now, what if we just took off one in the back?
Yeah, the back, yeah.
Because the power's going to these.
Yeah.
These are just kind of getting pulled.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Hey, sort of. I think we're about to jack
I
the
didn't
door
notice
up.
it was 3.
That doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good at all.
No.
Should I keep going or should I stop?
I'd keep going. Well, maybe you won't be able to keep going.
Never stopped me before. I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm gonna jack this up as far as I can. Hopefully it doesn't just break and slip that tire under there.
Okay.
Could you imagine if you had a flat and some guy stopped and was like, I remember changing the tire, and he started doing this to your car, you about got it. You're sitting there going, son of a gun. Look at that.
Hey, it's working.
I've got a guy with a tractor on standby just in case.
This ball joint here is out of this.
Oh. Well, that's not good.
So maybe when you jack that up there, we can push this back on. I don't know how long it's going to stay on. But
That doesn't look like that's been on there for a while.
I don't know. It may not have been.
That
Oh, good. I don't even care about you guys. I just want to loot my PMCs. Okay, well. A what? What? Okay. I mean, I'll take it.
That doesn't look like that's freshly been pulled off. I'm dropping this thing off at a car shop after this too, so.
Going, that's lining right up with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's about as high as we can go. Some dirt in there. Just a tad. That spins though, right? Yeah. Okay. It's weird picking that tire up. I'm used to tires just being like super heavy because I put giant jacked up wheels and everything. There we go. Look at that. This is optimum service. I may start like a AAA kind of thing.
Yeah, you never know how many people there are out there stranded in a field with no lug nut.
In Kentucky, we might actually have quite a few customers. I'm just curious if this thing will actually drive. Like, will that wheel turn? Like,
It will turn.
I wonder what that goes to. Maybe that's like a stability bar or something. Well, I say we just
Do the back wheel.
Yeah, we just start from here. Let's go take the back wheel off and see how far we make it. I think we're gonna go a lot further with this one. Yeah, see, it didn't even fall off like the last one. I'm gonna go a little faster this time too, because I'm not as afraid with the back wheel. That front wheel, I was like, well, what if it comes off and hits and I go flying out the window or something? But with this one, I think we'll be all right. This right here is hilarious though. Just completely buckled. It's okay because I was probably gonna cut that off later anyways for no reason in particular.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I can pretty much see where we started this last time. Our tire marks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16. 22, about 22 paces.
Yeah.
Bet you didn't know I could count, did you? Just because I'm from Kentucky. Oh, I can count, but I'm not very good with cars. Look.
I can't get in too far.
All right, we made it 22 paces. So, let's see if we can make it 23 paces.
Well, you're just going to have to nail it and keep, you know, you got to
just go.
You got to go.
All right.
Here we go.
All right.
I'm just gonna go.
All right.
It's still on there somehow. Let's do a turn. Maybe this will help. I don't know what's happening right now. Oh, we lost it. We lost it. We're still going. We're still going.
Oh my God.
We're still going. We're still going.
Oh, I'm glad this ain't my van.
I can't wait to return it to the rental place.
That wheel held on a lot longer than I thought.
It did.
I'm pretty sure the wheel well was kind of keeping it in there. That's why I started turning, and then it just perfectly just sitting right over there.
Yep. I think you left something over that way.
Yeah, those, I don't know how well those lugs are going to go back on. That is, yeah, that's looking pretty bad right there. That's not.
Glad we got an impact wrench.
So we're thinking at this point, from what we're learning, the front wheels, you're missing the lug nuts on your front wheel. You're not going to make it maybe 20 feet, but your rear wheels, you might actually make it a little bit.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't have turned, I bet we could have kept going for a while. It's not going to be the smoothest ride.
No, it makes an awful noise.
Yeah, but you'd make it. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to try to put that wheel back on.
Okay.
And then go back over there.
Yeah.
And we're going to take all the lug nuts off of just the rear wheels.
Okay.
Instead of all of them.
Right.
Because if we take them all off, I think the rear wheels are going to fall off before we even have a chance to even get going. And
right.
The front wheels are going to fall off before the rear wheels have a chance to fall off. So
definitely.
that's the plan. Not going to take all the lug nuts off.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. It sounds hilarious, but I think we'd make it 5 feet.
Look at the inside of this rim. Holy crap. I'm gonna guess it's not balanced anymore.
Yeah. That is one heavy jack. The real question is, how are we gonna get it off the ground when both wheels fall off?
Ooh.
I may be towing this to the shop.
So are we betting on which side comes off first?
I bet this side.
Yeah.
I bet this side comes off first. Dang, yep. Yeah, I bet it's this one. Now what I'm wondering though, do you think both will come off? Like when one comes off,
is that gonna cause the other one?
Yeah, is the other one just gonna stay on even harder? You know, like, or will it come off too? Oh snap! All right, yeah, I don't think we're gonna make it very far. It's like
it
this.
Tilted.
It did. I don't know how far we're gonna make it before the wheels actually fall off, but I will say this: we're gonna make it far regardless. You know, Dad here is awfully hot and uncomfortable. I drag him out here to make some really funny content for you guys. So if you're not subscribed to Kentucky Customs, for Dad's sake, hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, it's just toilet entertainment.
For when you're on the toilet.
All right, here we go.
Alrighty. Hi-ho, Silver, way! Oh, we already lost one.
No, not yet, you haven't.
No?
No.
This doesn't feel good at all.
No, it don't feel good.
Oh,
That one just went off.
we lost them both! Ow! Ow!
Oh, man.
Oh, wow. All right.
Oh, my goodness, the whole drum and everything's off.
No.
Yeah, it took the drum off. It's out somewhere.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we'll have to put it back in.
You might have to find that before we find it with a bush hog.
Yeah.
Okay, so no lug nuts on the back wheels. You're not going to make it very far, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Yay! Found it.
Yeah,
Look at
it
that.
slides over. Yeah, it does.
All right, we got all our pieces. See if we can put this puzzle back together. For what it's worth, that was the most fun I've had in a while. When that thing started just going to the right, like that was, I wasn't doing that. This poor van. How much lower it is to the ground now. I'm just wondering about getting the lug nuts on, period. I should put this up for sale after this. You know, lightly used minivan.
Lightly used. Where the hell is everybody? Apparently I need a CPU fan for something. Just trying to get enough experience grabbing stuff that I don't get a run through. Cool. Yeah, definitely if I loot this room, I'll have enough. Boopy doo. Yeah.
We're gonna do our scary and then also
Oh, that's a good picture.
sent me that from today.
Hell yeah. Sure, what movie were you thinking?
Have no idea. Are you, I'm just not here much TV. You see this little thing. It's funny.
Huh? I was actually just about to, like, wrap this up so we could go in there.
Tires freshly rotated. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ah! You may want to pull the tire out. I just want to take that wheel right off the tank. Wish there was anything else we could put under it. Isn't it gonna crush that?
It could.
There you go.
Try it.
What if it bends it? I don't know. Least of my worries right now, I guess. Oh yeah, it's good enough for me to get it under there. For the record, the side doors couldn't open before anyway, so give it an old taparoo now, or yeah. Hey, Dad can fix it. Who can fix it? Dad can fix it. Now, if you weren't going to hit the subscribe button before, I definitely think that that earns a subscribe, okay?
One.
Pay him for his hard work, because we know I ain't paying him.
Yeah.
We're in business. Now,
I don't know what to tell you on this.
yeah, I
Just
know. Well, those are
some of
good,
them
okay.
will, some of them won't.
Yeah, let me get one more.
I think that's how the lug nut broke.
That's not good. Dang it!
Pull the socket off the wrench.
There we go. Try.
Yeah, this ain't your finger hut tools. This thing will break a lug nut. Break the stud easy.
I think I'm gonna have to have this van towed. I'm not driving it. I've already decided. There's no way.
You're gonna have a left lug nut.
I will be putting the. No, we're missing a whole post there and there now. Still don't know if I want to drive that.
I drive that to California.
Yeah, whatever. What's
Oh,
bad?
You stole some.
That's still more lug nuts that I had on it when I first drove out here. Just kicking the van while it's about to fall off the jack. I just kicked this back wheel a few times. Yep, all right, I'm calling it.
I think that's the van sign relief. Well, we've reshaped it, shot it.
This thing's got all kinds of body work done to it now. Alrighty, we got all our wheels back on.
Yes.
The car should be good, but I think we're gonna need to make sure that this car is drivable, right?
What do you mean?
I'm gonna drive off before he jumps out. Oh, here we go. All right, we're just gonna kind of hit this right here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lean back here a little bit. I think we can hit that a little harder. This will be about, I don't know, we're going about, we're 30. Here we go. Here we go. All right, make it. Good. Oh, I smell radiator fluid.
Yeah, you smell that now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this thing is good.
Oh, God. Darn it. We might as well just go and hit a tree, too, right?
No!
My temperature gauge is going up. Yeah, I smell radiator fluid. I think I busted my radiator. Go ahead and turn her off. Yeah. I smoked it.
You got oil.
It's oil?
Yeah, I believe that's what that is.
Ain't gonna be worth towing nowhere.
What do you think I just did, Dad?
About $2,000 worth.
That's all radiator fluid. I don't think we're leaking oil. What? That's not a good sound. You know, instead of a check engine light, they should just have that sound in your car go.
Well, I know that looks like oil.
Are you sure? I mean, was it at least fun though?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I had fun at least.
Yeah, I'm just glad I'm alive.
Well, if I wasn't going to tow it before, I'm definitely going to tow it now. So you think that's oil? This is definitely that's antifreeze
for sure.
There's fun going on down here, and I'm going to be a part of it. Well, that's gonna be it for me tonight. Yay. BP. Well, no wonder. All right. Well, and I go watch a movie with the wife.